So in this chapter, we'll introduce financial and economical analysis of energy investments. We'll see first what is the difference between financial and economical analysis and what are the common features between them. To start with, we know that the energy sector is a very involving sector and it puts major demand on limited and competing investment funds. You know that because of the technology development and the need to increase the energy efficiency, we have a lot of new technologies that are emerging, and all of these need fund. And because we have limited sources of funding and investment, that's why we are trying to study in a very accurate way energy project, because they are a little bit critical on the economical level, and we'll discuss in this lecture why. So the basic analytical frameworks used to evaluate energy projects are the financial appraisal and the cost benefit analysis, and we'll go over these two approach in this course. So first, the financial appraisal is mainly for private investments. So let's say you are an owner of an enterprise and you want to study a certain project to implement, then you can go over the financial appraisal. And in case we have investment with public or near public characteristics, then we go to the cost benefit analysis. The cost benefit analysis is mainly, as we discussed, an analysis for which goods are non-exclusive or non-rival, so that they will take into consideration the society as perspective. Okay, so we should differentiate always between, let's say, a project implemented on society level or on a private level, and we'll discuss what is the difference and what are the factors to include, let's say, in financial appraisal, and what are the factors to include in cost benefit analysis. Now, to start with, energy projects share a lot of common features that will affect the economical analysis or financial analysis. To start with, one of the disadvantages of energy projects is that these projects are capital intensive. What we mean by this is that the initial investment of such projects is really high. For example, because in general, when we talk about energy project, in general, it's a larger scale. We talk about larger scale projects, and the majority of the input or investment, we should put it at the beginning of the project. So this is also a little bit risky, because especially if the lifetime is very large, if the whole investment we put it at the beginning, this might need a very long payback period, and we should pay attention, let's say, for factors that sometimes you have some risks that are not predictable. So you should take more into consideration possible risks when you have a long lifetime. So the first disadvantage is, as we said, it's capital intensive. Like, for example, if you want to implement a power plant to generate electricity, you have a very high investment to start with in order to build your industry. So the electricity industry, for example, tend to be 2-3 times more capital intensive with an initial high investment requirement than the manufacturing industry. That's why, let's say, energy projects should be well studied on the economical level because of the very high investment required. Also, another example of energy projects is fossil fuel extraction. You know that you have several techniques to extract fossil fuels, and with time, these techniques are becoming more and more expensive because you need to go much deeper and deeper in the ground. So also here you have a high capital to extract fossil fuel before starting to benefit from it, and you might need a long period of time to recover the initial costs. Another disadvantage in energy project is the asset specificity. Energy projects in general are specific, very specific, and the tools used, okay, will be only, they can only serve mainly for energy production. While in other projects, sometimes you have some projects that can have several type of usage, not just one. So in case, let's say, you have a problem with one use, you can the system can just work for other types of usage. However, in case of energy project, we have a high degree of specificity. This means that they do not have alternative uses other than their use in the energy sector. This is why we should make sure that the project is economically viable. We take into account risk factors. So in case, let's say, we have any problem, how to overcome it, etc., because we cannot use it in another way. So of course, the specificity will make the assets exposed to risks, and these risks should be taken into account whenever we do the economical analysis. Another problem also is the long life of assets. So most energy investments live for a very long period. So for example, a conventional power plant can easily operate for 25 years. A hydropower can live for 50 years. Even the most simple system, a diesel plant, can operate for more than 10 years. So, and as the life increases, the uncertainty about the future will increase, and the analysis for cost and benefits become more challenging. You can take a very simple example. In general, sometimes in 1-2 years, you have, especially in countries that are not stable like Lebanon, 2-3 years is a long period, and you can have a lot of changes on the economical level. So what if we talk about 25 and 50 years? So we should study in a very accurate way and try to, as much as possible, to take risks into consideration, etc. Another aspect, as we said, is also that energy projects needs a lot of time to be built and implemented. So energy projects take longer to build. For example, a nuclear power plant can easily take 8 to 10 years to construct. So imagine the amount of time you will spend before you can start to benefit from your power plant. So in this case, you need to make sure that the investment that you are putting is worth, because you should wait 10 years before you start to have income. A dam can also take such a long period. Even relatively faster gas plants can take 2 years to build. In general, when you have such long periods, long gestation periods, in general, it's the countries that will do the implementation, not just let's say one owner, because the investment is really high and the time to start to gain is really long. So we should pay attention when we go through such projects. So any changes in the business environment during the construction could really put the investment in risk. This requires that any investment decision has to be based on projected market conditions at a relatively long future date, which will make also the decision more risky and not simple to do. Finally, one also aspect that is common for energy project is the large size. So often energy projects tend to be big to take advantage of scale economies. So as a result, the capital outlay will increase even where the capital cost per unit is low. So in general, energy projects are implemented on big scale. Let's say we construct a hydropower plant to serve a country, to provide electricity for a country. The same, let's say, for solar systems. And of course, we can have it on mini scale. Let's say for your home, you can implement a solar system, etc. But the majority of plants are built in order to serve a larger scale. So because of all of these features and the importance of the energy sector investment in the economy, an economical analysis of energy sector investment is essential. And we'll discuss today how to perform such analysis. Now we'll differentiate between approach, the financial and economic analysis of energy project, which will aim at ranking projects so that financially or economically effective project can be identified and selected for better allocation of resources. To do this, we should answer several questions. First, if you want to decide if a project should be undertaken by the public sector or the private sector, we should conduct the financial and economic analysis. Whenever we say financial analysis, this means that we want to go to the to the private sector. While when we conduct the economic analysis, it is for the public. It's undertaken by the public sector. So we can study any project in both financial and economic analysis in order to decide if it's better that to be taken by a public sector or by private sector. Okay. For example, let's say in Lebanon for a long period of time, because of the electricity problems and because the electricity was costing a lot and was causing a lot of problems, in Lebanon, we tried always to say why to not make this sector private, because it might be, we might reduce a lot of problems on the country. For example, while in general, in the majority of countries, it is a public sector, and the country can undertake this project. The country will invest, because as we mentioned, guys, please, can you mute your microphones if you are not asking questions? So in the majority of countries, in general, the electricity sector is undertaken by the public sector, because we need very large investments and we have a very long time for the project, etc. But also in some cases, especially in case we have a lot of corruption, and in case we have non-developed countries or countries that are suffering from economical crisis, it might be better than to go to the private sector. Another important aspect is fiscal impacts of the project. So we should study the different impacts of the projects. We should do a balance between incomes and initial costs, etc. Plus, we should study the efficiency of cost recovery. What is the time of cost recovery? What is the payback period? What is the net present value? After a certain period of time, how much will be gaining, etc. Plus, we should take into account, of course, always, we don't only take care for the economical aspect, but also for the environmental impact of the project. Now, let us start to discuss what are the common and departing features whenever we talk about financial and economical analysis. First, financial and economic analysis have a lot of similar features, because both will estimate the net benefits of a project investment based on the difference between the with project and the without project situations. What do we mean by this? So let's say, for example, you put a solar system, okay, for your home. Then you can say to see if it's effective to install your system or not. You should say, if I don't implement this PV, what is the cost I am paying? Okay, let's say you do the analysis, for example, for the whole time of your project. So let's say, for example, for solar panel systems, you have the time is, let's say, 30 years. Of course, even with the solar system, you know that you have batteries that you should change continuously, you have operational costs, etc. All of these should be taken into consideration in the analysis. So you should know if I have to change some equipment from time to time. You should know if I should do maintenance, if I have some operation costs, etc. If the system is enough for me, or also I should use a backup generator. So all of these questions, you should answer them when you do the analysis. But now, just to simplify, let us consider that you have a system, and you know that this solar system, for example, can allow you to to get rid of the grid electricity. Okay, so it can completely replace the electricity from grid. So you can study this system, the initial investment, the costs, etc. What will be your income here? Your investment is, let's say, the price of the PV panels, the price of the price of batteries, etc. And after, you should take into consideration maintenance. Okay, but what is the income here?
The income is the energy saved if we were paying for energy instead.
Exactly. Very good. So it's the energy saved if we don't have this system. What is the amount of money we will pay? So this is why they said here mainly we take the net benefit based on the difference between the with project. So when I install the system, what is my payments? Of course, I have the investment, I have the maintenance, etc. But I can get rid of my bill, my electrical bill. So I can compare without project situations when I should pay each month my electrical bill. So now I can compare for each year what is the savings, and I can do the economical analysis over the whole lifetime of my system to determine my payback period. So at what time I can consider that I already paid back everything and I will start now to gain money. So while financial analysis uses market prices to check the balance of investment and the sustainability of the project, economical analysis use economic price that is converted from the market price by excluding tax, profit, subsidy, etc., to measure the legitimacy of using national resources to certain projects. What do we mean by this? The main difference between the financial and economic analysis is the part that is doing the project. Yani, if you are an investor, you have to pay for the country's taxes, profits, etc. Okay. While if the country is implementing a certain project, it will not have to pay for taxes or profit or subsidy, etc. That's why whenever you make a financial analysis, yani you have a certain private investment, you should use market prices, okay, which will take into account all of these factors as taxes, profit, and subsidies that you should pay to the public sector. While when you do economic analysis, so you will exclude all of these because it's mainly the society or the country that is involved in this project. So financial and economic analysis also differ in their treatment of external effects, benefits, and costs, such as favorable effect on health. Society is, if you want, one of the priority when we talk about public investment. So any harmful effect of a project on the society should be taken into account. And if, for example, if you are implementing a certain system that can cause maybe some risks on health of persons, and you know that electricity power plants and the CO2 gas emissions, for example, in Lebanon, increased a lot, let's say, the percentage of cancer because of respiratory diseases, etc. So in this case, if you are doing an economical analysis, you should take this into consideration, because if you have let's say bad health effects, then you need costs to be used to hospitalize your patients. You need to pay money for medicaments, etc. So all of these costs should be considered then, because the society will pay for this. Because of course, in developed countries, you have insurance for people. You should pay when people will get to a hospital. They have the right to enter without paying money, etc. So because of this, the country should account for all of these extra external effects that we do not take into consideration when we performed a financial analysis. Because if you are doing a private project, you will not consider what will be the bad effect on the environment and on people, because you will not have to recover for these effects. Just you will just study what you will gain, what you will put as money, what you will invest. That's it. However, this makes the economic analysis much more challenging, because you should take secondary effects into consideration. Any question on this? Okay, so now we'll start to go more and more over the common and departing features of financial and economic analysis. So first, for both cases, you should go over mainly 3 steps. You should identify and estimate the costs related to the investment. You should identify and estimate the benefits to be obtained from the investment, and you should compare the costs with benefits to determine the appropriateness of the investment. So we'll do this a lot in some numerical examples to see how we can put the equations and how we can determine costs, benefits, and how we do the balance. And of course, how we take risks into account, how we take into consideration the value of money in future. So all of these should be taken into consideration. Second, also, we should identify and evaluate cost and benefit that could start from the financial statement of the project. And here we have 2 types of adjustments that we should do if we want to compare with economical analysis. So we have that certain costs and benefits are either excluded or included, depending if you are doing a financial or economical analysis. And the valuation of certain items will change from financial to economic values. To understand more this, we'll go over this table, and then we'll do a small example to see the main difference between financial and economic appraisal. So to start with, let us discuss some costs and see if we include them in financial or economic approach. So first, we have the sunk costs. When we talk about sunk costs, it means that sometimes you have some features that are already implemented, and you cannot talk here about a cost because you already have it. It's present here. Okay, so if a project uses already existing facilities for which investments have already been made, so we just say it's a sunk cost because it's already paid. We don't include them in the analysis because we don't have to pay now any extra money. We already have the facilities. So if you are using financial or economic approach, you don't consider such costs because they are already available and you can use them directly. Now, what about contingencies? So in case, whenever we talk about contingencies, it means that we have something that we need. While doing the project, we have new needs that we're not, we didn't pay attention for this before, or maybe we have, let's say, extra demand. So we have additional claims on resources for the project. Of course, any contingency should be included in the financial and economic approach. Now, concerning the working capital, which refers essentially to stocks of goods that the business or the project needs to hold in order to operate, like raw materials, machines, equipment, vehicles, fuel stock, etc. Of course, we should add them in both. Now, whenever we talk about transfer payments, what we mean by transfer payments is if you want money that is not directly related to the amount of resource that is available. Okay, so these payments transfer command over resources from one party to another without reducing or increasing the amount of resources available as a whole. So they are not related, let's say, to the amount of material you need, or let's say to increase in demand. it's just related to transfer between, let's say, a certain between public and private sector. So let's say if you are investing in any project, you have to pay for taxes, you have some duties, subsidies, all of these, okay, you should include them in the financial approach, but not in the economic one, because whenever you are doing a private investment, you have a lot of duties and taxes to pay for the society or country, while when the country will invest, it will not it will not pay for itself, it will not have to pay any tax or any duty. So this is one of the main differences between financial and economical approach. Plus what we already mentioned, that all external effects, as effects on health, on environment, should be considered in economic appraisal and not in financial one. Another factor is, for example, depletion premium. What do we mean by this? So, for example, for non-renewable resources, the economic analysis should include the depletion rent to reflect the economic cost to the society of using the resources. What do we mean by this? For example, let's say we are in a country where fossil fuels are available, okay, and we are extracting them and using them. So after a certain period of time, when we have depletion of resources, this will be very risky and will have effect on the overall economy, okay, and that from here it will have an effect on the society. Because of this, we should take into consideration depletion of resources effect in case of economical analysis, because this will affect the economy of the society as a whole. However, if you are just doing a financial analysis, we don't take this into consideration. So this is also related to external effects, if you want. External cost, as we said, it's the society-wide implication of project. So any effects that can result from a project on the society and can have like economical implications, like you have health effects, or we have bad environmental effect, etc., should be taken into consideration in the analysis. This is not easy, of course, to take into consideration. Sometimes we have some subjective judgments, we have to do some assumptions. It's more challenging because it's not always 1 + 1 = 2. So we have to do some studies over long period of times to observe, let's say, how society is affected, how we can take into consideration such effect in the economical analysis, etc. Now, let us take a small example in order to see the difference between economic and financial prices for a certain project. Okay, so for example, here we want to calculate the economic and financial prices at the project site for the following two cases. We will compare the case of exporting and importing a certain product. If you consider first, for example, in case one.
Doctor?
Yes. Yes.
The financial analysis is only for private sectors and economical ones, or governmental projects.
No, it's not only environmental projects, okay? Any project. Let's say if you take the example of implementing a certain power plant to generate electricity, okay? You can consider a certain investor or several investors in private sectors that want to go over this and implement the power plant, or also it can be the countries that want to put investment in order to implement it. And you want to decide what is the best approach, okay? If you want to study if some investors in the private sector want to go through this, you should do financial analysis, because whenever you talk about the private sector, you don't have responsibility towards the society, and you don't have to take into consideration what will be the effects on society if you have bad health effects, or if you have reduction of resources. all of this, you are not interested in it because you are just responsible of your power plant and your income and costs. However, if the country will implement such electricity power plant, it should pay attention for the effects on the people, because let's say you have health problems because of this, the country will have to pay in order to for medication, for hospitals, etc. So any
Yeah.
project, any energy project, okay, can be studied in economical and financial approach, and based on this we can decide if it's better to go for private or public investment.
Okay, يعني it's not about the project, يعني it's about who will implement this project.
Exactly. It's about who will
Mm.
implement this project and what are the costs that we should take into consideration, or incomes, depending if we are taking the financial or economic analysis.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, welcome. So for example, if we take case one, okay, you have, you want to export crude oil and you have two options, okay? We want to study economical and financial prices when we talk about the project site, okay? It means that here, whenever, let's say, you extract crude oil, so the project site is just at the extraction level, okay? Now, in order to be able to make it, if you want a product that can be consumed, you have several steps after the project site. So you have taxes, okay, you have the handling charge, you have the transport cost from field to port, you have the exchange rate, and you have the economical value of handling and transport. Okay, what do we mean by this? So let's say I am telling you that you have the price, the final price, okay, of exporting crude oil is $20 per barrel, and you want to judge what is the price at the project site. So at the project site is just before going over all of these, and you extract at the site level, you will extract crude oil, okay? After extraction, to be able to sell your product, you should pay the export tax, you should pay the handling charge, the transport charge, etc. Okay? To do this, you should extract from the final price all of these payments in order to know what is the price at the project site. And what will be the difference between economic and financial prices? For example, if we are doing the analysis for financial price, we will include the export tax, because if you are investing in the private sector, you have to pay taxes. However, if you are conducting the analysis, the economic analysis, then you will not consider this part because you don't have to pay any tax. Now, if you want to do analysis in economic or financial approach, you should take into consideration the handling charge that you should pay, the transport cost from the field to the port. Okay. Now, in case, in general, okay, you have also sometimes several exchange rate. The official exchange rate is the one that we'll consider in the economic analysis, and the shadow exchange rate is the ones that we'll consider into the financial approach. And what do we mean by economic value of handling and the transport? You know that the charges of handling and transport will be higher in case you are doing financial approach than economic approach. Why? Because any benefit to the society will not be considered in the economic analysis. And if, for example, let's say you are in a country, when you want to pay the handling charge or the transport cost from field to port, you have a certain price for people who will do this task. Okay, so if, let's say for taxi or for people which will which will take care of the charge of handling the charge, so these prices are considered to be a benefit for the society. So you don't include them in the economic analysis, but you will include them in the financial analysis. This is why the economic value of handling and transport is 90% of the value that you should take into consideration in financial analysis. Okay, so let us see now in detail how we'll account for all of these costs. We can do a small table. So, and we'll describe each cost. What is the cost that should be taken in case of economic analysis and in case of financial analysis. LM is for local money. Okay, and you have the exchange rate, which will give you if you want how to go from one currency to the other. So here we have first the price. We said the price is $20 per barrel. This is the value of price. But when you conduct the economic analysis, okay, we said that we'll take which rate. So as we mentioned, we have two rates here. We have the official one and we have the shadow one. So we mentioned that in the in case you are studying, you are doing the economic analysis, you will take the shadow rate, shadow exchange rate. While if you do the financial analysis, you will take the official exchange rate. Okay, that's why whenever you talk about the price, it will not be the same in case you are doing economic or financial analysis. When you do the financial analysis, here we are talking for this example, you will do 20 times 30 in the financial analysis, while you will do 20 times 36 in the economic analysis. Okay, so for the economic analysis, we'll take the shadow exchange rate, and for the financial analysis, we'll take the official exchange rate. So this is the first aspect. Okay, so as you can see here, we multiplied by the shadow rate for the economic analysis and by the official rate for the financial analysis. Next step is the tax. As we mentioned, we don't take into consideration taxes when we do economic analysis. So we don't put here just, it says 0, we don't put anything. While in the financial analysis, we should subtract from the final